Hi, this is Brian Forster, and today we are at Dashur, which is actually part of the Giza Plateau. Most people think that the Giza Plateau is simply the three Great Pyramids and the Sphinx and the Valley Temple, but in fact, the Giza Plateau system is much larger than you think. It includes Dashur, Abu Sir, Abu Ghurab, Abu Rawash, Saqqara, and more. Now, of course, it's called the Bent Pyramid because it has two angles, and some misinformed academics believe that this was actually a technical mistake, that the builders and the architects got the angle wrong, and so once the pyramid was half finished, that they had to change the angle. It's more likely that this was a giant resonant device, just like the Great Pyramid was, and that all of these structures were struck by some ancient cataclysm. This discoloration of the stone that you're looking at is from the inside, and it's limestone, so it should not have this peeling and discoloration that you see, but our engineer that came with us, that's Cliff on the right, and also our geologist, Susan Moore, concur that there was some kind of cataclysm that probably struck this structure as well as the Great Pyramid and others. Now you can see that the casing stone is almost perfectly intact, with all four corners appear to be blown out. The idea that the casing stone was quarried by local people at some period of time in the distant past is kind of illogical, because why would they start by removing all four corners? But if it was struck by some kind of solar plasma event or something else, the enormous force could have blown the four corners out. And what we're going to see is inconsistency as well in terms of where the casing stone is and where the casing stone isn't. Now in the background you see what's called the Black Pyramid, and it is mainly constructed out of mud bricks. And a lot of the academics believe that the Bent Pyramid, the Red Pyramid, and the Black Pyramid were all created by one pharaoh called Sneferu. But it's highly unlikely, because why would, in the lifetime of one pharaoh, why would you change from one technique, which is solid stone like this, to mud brick, or vice versa? Now, if you carefully look, you can see on the right-hand side of the casing stone is mainly there, and on the left-hand side, it's missing. So it appears that the Bent Pyramid was struck by, again, some kind of cataclysmic event, possibly a solar plasma flare about 12,000 years ago, that struck on the eastern side of the building and blew out much of the casing stone on the eastern and I think southern, either southern or northern side. Now there happened to be an archaeological dig undergoing when we were there, and they actually let us go and inspect what they were doing. So Egypt is changing actually quite rapidly. A lot of sites are opening up that previously were forbidden by visitors or tourists, and the case in point is the Bent Pyramid. You can now go inside. The last time this was allowed was in 1965, and I believe in May of 2019 they've opened it up to the public, and we're going to be going in March of 2020. Now here you can see a satellite pyramid, and again, it doesn't appear that it's simply erosion, but that it was struck by some kind of force that basically blew the exterior off. Now this is where quite easily you can see the upper casing stone is missing, once again on the eastern side and on this side, whereas farther to the left you can see that it's still largely intact. And also it's the second bend or facet, the upper one, that is damaged much more than the lower one. And if you were simply trying to take the pyramid apart, you would start at the bottom, not at the top. So now what we're going to do is we're going to explore the Red Pyramid. In the case of the Red Pyramid, we actually did go inside. It's a standard part of the tours we do. And again, the next one is in March of 2020. Now, what's intriguing about the Red Pyramid exterior is you can see all of the casing stone is missing. The pyramid is more or less intact. There's the pyramid in the background, but all of the casing stone has been reduced to rubble. Now, once again, if this was simply people removing the casing stone to take it, for instance, to Cairo to be used in construction, they would have taken the solid pieces of the casing stone. They would not have broken it down into what is basically rubble and sand. So once again, I believe the Red Pyramid was also struck by the same cataclysm which caused it to have the entire casing stone system, which actually interlocks into the pyramid, blown right off the surface. So this is our group in April of 2019, preparing to go inside. We're going to get some more detailed views of where the casing stone is missing. On the ground here, you can see little bits. Some of the largest pieces that are left of the casing stone are something you could pick up with one or possibly two hands. Once again, reduced to rubble. And we're going to see more evidence of scorching on the surface. You can see here the discoloration and almost the melting of the interior limestone. And once again here, you can see that the casing stone is reduced to rubble and sand. We're now going inside. And this shaft that goes down, you can see how narrow it is, both vertically and horizontally. And it goes into the pyramid, I believe, about 300 feet. It's quite an adventure to do this. Thankfully, most of the lighting was working, and these handrails greatly assist, as well as the steps they put in, because originally it was simply a ramp going down. It would have been possible to slide down without the steps, but you'd probably never be able to get back out again. So once again, a curious nature of the interior. Again, you see strange discoloration on the upper surfaces there, which to me appear to be scorching marks. And now we're in the chambers at the bottom. And what's very intriguing is the faceting nature of the interior surfaces as we go farther up, like that. Now, was this done simply for strength? The acoustics inside this chamber are absolutely incredible. And so once again, we believe that the oldest of the pyramids were resonant structures. They were, of course, not built as tombs, because these are among the oldest constructions in all of Egypt. Why would the largest structures be built first and smaller ones later? And then here you see how tightly fitting the limestone is. It's quite a disgusting smell inside to some degree, because bats supposedly occupied the interior. And now we're going back up. Once again, I believe it's about 300 feet from the bottom to the exterior of the Red Pyramid. And here is the last phase of going up. Without the artificial lighting that was put in, it would be pitch black inside. And now, as a side bonus, we also went to Memphis on this day tour. And at Memphis are many sculptures, including this massive one made out of limestone. What's curious is not only the sense of scale, but again, we see these strange scorch marks on it. So I honestly believe that this giant sculpture, you're going to see in detail, is older than the dynastic time period, because it's just the sheer scale of it. Once again, look at the strange discoloration on the left arm. It looks like the limestone has been hit by high heat, and I honestly think this was beyond the scale of the dynastic builders. They did, of course, do lots of sculpture and some very excellent temple constructions, but I think this one is simply too big for them to have quarried and also for them to have shaped and moved. It's attributed, as always, or as usual, to Ramses II, but I honestly think it's a much, much older construction. It's similar to the granite ones we see that has exactly the same face. And here, once again, at the bottom, you're going to see the strange discoloration of the leg. And actually at the top, or the middle left of the hat there, or the crown that he's wearing. So Memphis is not visited by that many people, but it is on the way between the Giza Plateau and the location of the bent and red pyramids. And also this huge sphinx made of travertine. Once again, the weathering on the right-hand side is very unusual. And this could be another work that is much, much older than the dynastic Egyptians, in my opinion. So, upcoming events. We're going to Turkey in September 2019. There is one space available for that tour. In January, our first and possibly only trip to India to look at lost ancient high technology evidence, of which there is a lot, January 2020. And then March 2020, our return to Egypt. We'll be going to see the bent and red pyramids and much, much more. Immediately after that, we're going to Israel to look at evidence of lost ancient high technology, especially in the capital city of Jerusalem. I'll be at Contact in the Desert in June of 2020 in California. And then also in June of 2020, our annual Inti Raymi Inca Celebration of the Sun, including, of course, Machu Picchu.